Hi, Cecilia. So great to running into you here at the Ericsson studio in Kista. And also that we were able to get a couple of minutes to have a bit of a chat.
I agree. Right between customers' meetings and talking about the things that actually many customers want to talk to us about, which is how do we now monetize this wonderful technology platform that we have put in place and are continuing to evolve. Sometimes we call this differentiated connectivity. And there are also some myths around this word and this concept that we want to bust today. So let's dive into it.
What is important to realize is that the demand is there. If you go back to 2025, we had 20 plus new commercial offerings accumulating. I think it's 65 so far, of which 24 are here in Europe. So it really is happening.
And that's also something we see in our consumer lab research. So we do go and ask consumers, what could you see moments in time where you would be willing to pay more for the network performance? And 40% of the consumers can actually identify such moments. They can think about opportunities where I really need that guaranteed performance, and half of them are actually willing to pay for that. Another opportunity that our customers have with this is that they can actually start talking about their value in a different way. So instead of the usual, like, oh, you get this many megabits per second, we can talk about, a video call that never fails.
Absolutely. I read that report as well. And I think we can look at ourselves as consumers in other industries, TV packages, for instance. People are willingly paying for sports packages and other things on top, going on a plane. We have economy class, we have business class, we have first class, and people pay for that tiering. So, we can get inspired, I think, a lot by other industries as well, and see how we can convert that into our CSP business. What is important there as well is that we start with the existing customers, and then we see how to make customers pay for those additional values.
So talking about the customers and the offerings out there, what are some of the interesting cases where differentiated connectivity is actually out there in the market?
First of all, I think it is we should give kudos to CSPs who are experimenting with different kinds of offerings. And from the top of my head, we have Cosmoti in Greece. They were working with a turbo package that you can get additional capacity and boost for a period of time. And I also will give another example here from the Nordics, where Elisa in Finland, they've also created a tier volume where you pay a little bit extra on top for better performance, again, using the network as a platform.
Interesting. And I see that happening in different ways also across the world. You mentioned this turbo case with Cosmoti, and just recently AT&T launched a similar thing, turbocharging your 5G experience linked to the stadiums. And we all know that there are important big events happening in stadiums in the US coming now this year. So not only to their own customers actually, but they're also offering this to customers of their competition as well. Looking at Australia, Telstra, Dynamic 5G. This is an interesting case where they go to enterprise customers and offer fixed wireless access with a guarantee. So not only that you can get that performance provided through a slice of the network, but if there would be some kind of a problem, you also don't have to pay. And then back to the US, T-Mobile has been really looking to now scale their offering. They have been early on with many different cases. It's interesting how they scale both by location and by user type. So, for example, if they already have a stadium where they would have the payment terminals, they go to vending machines, they go to security cameras, broadcast cameras, scaling it in that location, or also when they have already an offering in place, for example, for security camera surveillance, they have then enabled that also for in this case, new police department. So it's also an opportunity to really think, how can you move from the base you already have and offer it to more users in different ways?
And I have to say that a big kudos to TMO for experimenting, going both broad and deep here in finding new use cases and a way to monetize. And I think that's really the trick here. We need to find new customers, but we also need to make sure that we broaden the base. Work with the developers, hyperscalers, the gaming sector, for instance, where we actually leverage all the capabilities that the network will provide. Looking into what I discuss with CSPs, of course, it's how do we reach them? And this is a challenge. But I believe we need to have a multi-pronged approach for differentiated connectivity. It is how we build things into scale, using APIs, for instance, and then scaling that on top.
So as we see AI scaling in different ways, the uplink will be a fundamental new requirements on the network. And let's get it right and rethink how we monetize and work with our customers to to charge for that capability in the networks. And when you talked about scaling in different ways and already mentioned, the APIs as a platform where we work with also Aduna to really ensure we can package some of those APIs and then reach to the developers. But all of these opportunities still rely on some fundamental technical capabilities in the network. There needs to be something that I know you like to call real 5G. So Patrick, tell me more about that one.
Well, first of all, I think you have two parts, right? You have Aduna, a fantastic platform for global scale. So that's very, very important to get that through globally across networks. But then what is really underpinning all of this is the platform and real 5G standalone. That is what's required to be able to deliver on the SLAs, make sure you can have these slices across the networks. So real 5G, meaning that you have the full 5G performance, including 5G standalone.
And when you talk to our customers about, how to move on this now, when you have the technical fundamental pieces in place, how do you see that evolving?
Well, I think it is very much about the experimentation, and I think we can go into the IT playbook, how IT systems work across, right? And creating sandboxes to start small, then you scale, and then the next step you monetize. But also in some cases, if it doesn't work out, then you come up with new experiments. So it again, make sure that you explore, you scale, and you monetize.
Sounds good. And sometimes there are those aspects that are considered as barriers. And one of the things that sometimes pop up in our customer discussions is about net neutrality. How do you see this topic of net neutrality?
Yeah, I hear that a lot in conversations, and I think it is a problem and a challenge maybe, but we turn those into opportunities. And the overall net neutrality framework is fairly old. I just want to tie to one more thing that you mentioned, because you talked about the New York Police Department, and of course one thing that is very important there is uplink, and I think that's another area where we need to be very, very innovative from the industry perspective, because now we have all the fantastic AR glasses around the corner that will require a very, very stable and a very, very broad uplink that we need to make sure to monetize as well. But we have the cases that already exist, right? So it's very clear that you can have a boost of internet services, you have some specialized services, and then this will be evolving as we go along. I'm absolutely sure of this, because we're in a shift, in a kind of a paradigm shift a little bit here as well. So this will go along. It's not a problem, it is an opportunity, and let's experiment.
And great to see those cases already in place, absolutely, even within the existing framework that we see in the market. Yeah. So, looking to conclude this conversation and looking ahead, what are the key things that you bring with you?
Well, there are so many things, but I think it is very simple in a sense. Start experimenting and making sure that we can find new opportunities. It's about collaboration across the overall ecosystem, and we experiment together and we find new opportunities for revenue growth and to provide fantastic customer experiences.
The networks are coming into play, the consumers see the opportunities, the commercial cases are there. So let's go out and scale this one to happen.
Absolutely. Let's go.